Long after the mining process is actually stopped, Rio Tinto is dedicated to making sure that we see things through in a proper way. I'm from South Carolina, and this is my dream job, honestly. It's to be able to come out here and positively affect this site.
We're standing next to Bear Creek. This region is the Bear Creek watershed. Thousands of years ago, this was an area that was inhabited by indigenous people. Their entire subsistence structure was very much on what they could get from the land, and this area supported a diverse bioculture. This area would have attracted a lot of different game animals that they would have subsisted on, in addition to just being a good water source. In the mid-1700s, there were settlers that came in from Charleston area, from Virginia, from Pennsylvania, that established homesteads and kept local small cattle ranches. The agriculture in the area continued until pretty much the Great Depression, where economic hardship required farmers to kind of go to more urban areas and get factory jobs. Gold in the Carolinas, in the Slate Belt area, was found in the late 1800s, but in the actual locality around Ridgeway, local people kind of knew what they were finding and that it was here, but not on a mass scale that we see in the 1980s and the 1990s when the Ridgeway mine was fully operational.
In 1988, the Kennecott Ridgeway Mining Company began mining gold and silver from this location. They had gone through the process to get the appropriate mining, air, water quality permits to conduct the mining. The property consisted of about 2,000 acres. There were two large open pits that were excavated and dewatered, and the ore was mined from there, crushed, processed, and the waste materials were placed into the tailing storage facility. That operation yielded about 1 million ounces of gold and about 700,000 ounces of silver during the entire 11-year operation. Rio Tinto purchased the Kennecott Ridgeway Mining Company in 1989, 1 year after it had begun operations. And Rio Tinto now owns the site today, where we continue to perform operations and maintenance activities. After the mining was completed in 1999, the rehabilitation process began. The rehabilitation process consisted of dismantling and decommissioning conveyors, tanks, process equipment, which were all disassembled and removed from the site. The pit lakes, the pumps were turned off, and the pit lakes were allowed to slowly begin filling with water. We've treated the water, and they are nearly at full capacity today. Any of the land disturbed by the mining operation then was graded, stabilized, and vegetated. People may see trucks coming and going from the site. It's our job to maintain this facility. We don't have any plans to reopen the mine. However, we do have obligations. We have construction, modifications, and maintenance that have to go on here routinely. We have full-time staff here that continue to carry out those efforts.
You can't just stop mining and walk away. That's not very good stewardship to anyone who's involved, whether it be the communities, the environment, meeting regulatory requirements. All of those things go into play with operations and maintenance, and that is the lifeline of responsible mining. So out here on site, we actually have 2 freshwater lakes, a number of waterway channels, and water storage facilities. Operation and maintenance consists of a multitude of things: vegetation maintenance, water sampling, upkeep of roadways. It's for the benefit of the people who work here. It's also the benefit for those people who are unknown trying to come into the site to keep them safe as well. This is an ongoing regulated facility, and as such, it's not open to the public. As we rehabilitate the ecology out here, we just want to make sure that we understand what's actually taking place, so that way we know how to do better, and to have outside folks come in, whether it be the general public or a contractor that we're not aware of, they could introduce something into the area that might negatively affect what we've been working towards. It certainly is a beautiful but delicate process. So here we have one of our waterways, and then actually off in the distance you can see the tailing storage facility just as it sits.
Tailings are what's generated from the mining process. When you mine, you bring the ore and the rock out of the ground, you process it, you extract what materials you're looking for, in this case it was gold and silver, the material that's left behind is called tailings. And the tailings were placed in this large facility. And it also has a cap over that, which we maintain. As you can see, it's all vegetated and covered with grass. There's a grass prairie land now. The risk has been seen globally with other tailings facilities where there are catastrophic tailings failures from facilities that are not designed or operated or maintained properly. GISTM is the global industry standard for tailings management. It's a voluntary standard that major mining companies have signed up for, and it's intended to enhance the safety of tailings storage facilities like the one that we're standing on here today.
Tailings management is the key to being a responsible corporate partner to the neighbors. I'm Jim Devereaux. I'm the branch leader for Schnabel Engineering. My role out here on site, I'm the engineer of record for GISTM. We've drilled all the way around the perimeter of the tailings facility to assess the soil, to determine its strength properties. For slope stability, they need to be able to stand in the event of an earthquake. They need to be able to stand whether they're completely dry or fully saturated.
The top of the tailings storage facility is surrounded by this dike that you see. The dike goes around the entire facility, and what this is designed to do is to hold about 4 feet of water from a tropical storm or hurricane event that were to come to South Carolina. That water would be held up here and eventually discharge out through this spillway, where we can control what ultimately heads out through our waterway channels and into the environment.
There are multiple monitoring stations that we have positioned all along our tailings embankment facility. This is a continuous reading program, so it's constantly gathering data, and it leads us to how this facility is actually operating.
I believe the GISTM standard holds the entire mining industry to standards that are higher than most environmental regulations today. The standard requires more transparency, more stringent design, operation, maintenance, and management of the facility. That's certainly a meaningful and vital component for us.
We're really trying hard to get it back to as natural of a state as it can be after the mining process, and I think we're doing a great job. We have just about everything that you can have in South Carolina, from deer to waterfowl to frogs, lizards, snakes, you name it. We've done lots of things, from frog call studying to just taking photos of fowl and raptor interaction in their natural habitat. So I think everything that we do has a part to do with everyone who works here in just the Rio Tinto culture enclosure. It's just making sure that we do the best for the environment that we can possibly do.
Ultimately, our main goal at the site is to achieve a site that's physically, chemically, and ecologically stable now and into the future. When we came here in 1988 to open the site, we agreed to comply with our environmental permits, and we agreed to be good stewards to the environment and to the community. That still holds true today. And that speaks directly to Rio Tinto's commitment to continue to find better ways to provide minerals that the world needs.